Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming with us this morning. I'm going to invite you to stand as we enter a time of worship. Sometimes you've got to dance through the darkness, sing through the fire, praise when it don't make sense. Sometimes you got to stare down the giant, worship from the lion's den. Sometimes you gotta shout it from the mountain, louder in the valley, trusting that he's gonna get you there. Sometimes you gotta welcome the wonder, wait for the answer, worship with your hands in the air. I'll praise you anywhere. Praise, give him praise in the highest. Praise, give him praise in the highest. Sometimes you've got to praise in the prison, cry out to heaven, shout it till the door swing wide. Sometimes you've got to stand on your shackles, brave in the battle, worship with your hands held high. I'll praise you anywhere. Praise, give him praise in the highest. Praise, give him praise in the highest. Give him praise in the highest. Praise, give him praise in the highest. He is worthy, yes, he is worthy of all of the praise. Faithful all my life, blessings day and night, countless reasons why I'll praise you anywhere. Every promise, goodness, every step, each and every breath, I'll praise you anywhere. Faithful all my life, blessings day and night, countless reasons why I'll praise you anywhere. Every promise, goodness, every step, each and every breath, I'll praise you anywhere. Praise, give him praise in the highest. Praise, give him praise in the highest. He is worthy, yes, he is worthy of all of the praise. Oh mountain, oh valley, I know that you'll get me there, and I'll praise you anyway.
Amen. Amen. That's awesome. Well, this week is I found out you ever take an inventory of your life and how you're feeling, and you realize, I had no idea I've been living here for so long. That was me this week, as I realized that I was just been in this consuming season. You know, we just welcomed our third baby to our family, which is amazing. Thank you. But if you've ever done that, you know that it's not always this is awesome, this is She's 6 weeks old, she's beautiful, but now there's a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 6-week-old in our house. And from the moment we wake up with the 4-year-old 6 inches from our face to the moment we fall asleep, it's just non-stop, to where at any moment of the day, it feels like somebody is just 2 seconds away from a complete mental breakdown. Parents included, for sure. And I know that I'm not the only one in that situation either. Whether you just feel you're so close, where everything is just non-stop. Some of you are parenting teenagers and worried about sports schedules, or you have your mental to-do checklist of Did I respond to that email that went out on Tuesday? When was the last time I had the oil change on this? Did I schedule the doctor's appointment that I've been putting off for ages? There's so many things that I know that I'm not the only one. It just feels like we're just that close sometimes. You just start getting into this consuming season. And I didn't realize that that's kind of where I've been at until about this week. As I'm preparing for this morning and the songs that we're singing, Jordan showed me the songs that we're going to be doing. And this next one, it's an old one. And it's one that I remember singing every single Sunday as like a little boy in church. And some of you probably know it. Open the eyes of my heart. I know it by heart. And I love it. And as I'm preparing for it, it's a song that I know I can play in my sleep. It's no problem. But what I have to do sometimes is just kind of like, okay, let me see what this is saying again. What is this about? And so I'll just read the words of the song. With no music, I won't sing them or anything like that. And so I just want to do that for us in a second, because this is kind of what kind of made me aware this morning of where I've been. And it's open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. So pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. As I realize that I'm kind of in the season of just autopilot. It's honestly where I think a lot of us can be. Even though maybe you're reading our Bibles all the time, it's still kind of a consistent thing, or we're praying at our family meals. We can still be doing all of this stuff, but find ourselves on autopilot. And that's kind of realized where I was at. And so then these songs that we sing are often just prayers put to music. That's exactly what this one is. And it's just us praying together. God, would you open my eyes? Would you open my eyes to be able to see you in your full glory, in your full goodness, in your full love, and how it's worked and empowered my life. So this morning, as we continue singing that, we're going to sing, open the eyes of my heart. And I want that to be our prayer this morning, wherever you've been. If it's a consuming season or you're on autopilot, make this our prayer tonight as we sing. To see you, I want to see you, I want to see you, I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. See, open the eyes. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. See you high. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. There we go. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. It's beautiful. I want to see you high and lifted up, to see you. Together, let's sing that out. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, 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 holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you high, to see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. So pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. See you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. So pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. I want to see you. Sing holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you. Amen. Heritage, love, getting to worship together. Glad that we could pray and sing that over together. As you guys are finding your seats, we're going to continue. Go ahead and find your seats and say good morning and hello to the people around you today.
Well, good morning, and once again, welcome home. Welcome to Heritage. We are so glad to have you with us today, whether you're joining us online or you're joining us right here in the room. Thanks for taking some time to be with us today. I want to let you know about some really easy ways we have for you to get a little bit more connected. I want to make sure that everybody knows about our Connect card. You'll see this in the seat back in front of you or in between the seats. This is a really great way. If today is your very first time with us, welcome. This is a great way for you to let us know that you're here, jot down a little bit of information, or even if you've been coming to Heritage for years, we'd love for you to fill one of these out. You can mark a next step you're looking to take, you can share prayer requests with us, and then you can drop these off in the black box on your way out today. Thank you so much for doing that. Another really great way to get connected is by coming to one of our welcome parties. This is a really great way just to hear a little bit more about the story of Heritage, the mission of Heritage, and how you can jump in and be involved in all that God is doing here. And we do these welcome parties every month. Our next one is coming up on September 8th, so we'd love to see you there. You can find out more information on RSVP at heritagechurch.cc/welcome or by checking out the QR code right there. And each week we say how thankful, how grateful we are for all of you who call Heritage home and you're faithfully giving. Thank you so much for partnering with us. It's because of your giving we're able to do all the things we are able to do. Literally thousands of people hear about the love of Jesus and have their lives changed because of your giving. And we cannot say thank you enough. You can give anytime online at heritagechurch.cc/give, or if you brought a gift with you today, you can drop that off in the box. Thank you so much for partnering with us. And every week we have an incredible team that's out at Heritage Central right in the lobby, and they're just waiting to answer any questions that you might have, to help you get registered for anything that's coming up. So make sure you stop by, say hi today, and let them answer any questions you might have. Next week, we are doing one of our favorite things here at Heritage, and that is baptism. We love to give people an opportunity to take this next step, to go public with their faith, and that's coming up next Sunday. So if you have never had an opportunity to do that, you are following Jesus, but you've never been baptized, it is not too late. We'd love to talk with you more. We'd love to answer any questions. We'd love to help you take that next step next Sunday. It's going to be a really great celebration. So we'd love for you to check out heritagechurch.cc/baptism for more information. And we have a couple really great events coming up. The first one is for all of our students, our middle school and high school students. They are about to kick off a new year, and what better way to do that? By demolishing a car. So they're going to come out for Rec Fest on August 14th. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be safe. It's going to be supervised, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure that you check out heritagechurch.cc/youth for that. Then we have our family pool party that's coming up next Sunday, the 18th. We have completely rented out Sunburst Bay Aquatic Center in Cary. It's going to be a blast. We have pizza. We have ice cream, a lot of fun, and it's just $10 for the whole family. So make sure that you RSVP. We'd love for you to join us. That's going to be a blast next week. And then we have our night of worship coming up on August 21st. This is going to be a really special evening where we get the opportunity to worship for an extended period of time, to pray. We're going to be praying over all of our students as they start this new year, over all of our teachers and administrators. It's going to be a really special time, and we'd love for your family to be there. Really, all of these events, these are great opportunities for you to reach out to your neighbor, to your coworker, to a family member. Ask them to come along and join you and be a part of this. So make sure you check all of those things out. We'd love to see you there. Well, this morning we're excited to hear from Pastor Jordan Lloyd as we continue our series. Once again, welcome home.
Well, good morning, family. How we doing? You guys feeling good? Awesome, awesome. I'm Jordan, I'm one of the pastors here. I want to welcome you. Pastor Skyler has been out for a couple weeks, is going to continue to be out for a little bit longer as he rests and prepares for a new fall kickoff season. Let me tell you this. You've probably heard me say this before. I'll be a broken record. I'm not afraid of it. He's the hardest working pastor I know, and he loves you so much, and he sends his greetings to you. We love you, buddy. I know you're watching right now. You always, if not now, it's going to be like a minute from now. You're going to be watching. He's always we love that guy so much. He wanted me to share with you two more things that are really important for you to know about, for all of us to prepare for. 3 weeks from today, okay, is Labor Day weekend. Some of you are already thinking about your plans. You're already buying the charcoal and whatever. You're getting ready for that weekend. Traditionally, on that first Sunday in September, Labor Day Sunday, we always take that Sunday online. So all three of our campuses are going to be online that day. We hope that you'll still join us. We do that not just because we want to go online one Sunday. We do that because we want to honor all of the literally hundreds of volunteers that it takes in order for us to make this experience happen across all of our campuses every single weekend. That Sunday after Labor Day, it's always a really big kickoff season for us, kickoff time for us. And so we're going to take that Sunday online, but we've prepared a really special experience. We hope that you'll join us for kind of an abbreviated time of worship with your family, maybe friends, neighbors. If you're out of town, you can still access that. You'll be able to access that on heritagechurch.cc all day on that Sunday, September 1st. And then that's 3 weeks from today, 4 weeks from today, okay? September 8th is really our big kickoff Sunday, and we're going to be transitioning to 2 services. We've seen a lot of growth happen over the last several months, so we're excited to expand this environment to 2 services at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. They will be 2 identical services. We're going to be offering kids environments, Heritage 139, all of our guest experience environments for both of those services. But we hope that you'll make plans to lean in and be a part of that. The last thing I want to tell you, that when we expand to 2 services, we're going to need some of you to step up, okay? Some of you already do every single week, man. You serve, and we're so grateful for you. You're part of what helps us help people find and follow Jesus. I mean that. You're a huge, huge part of that. Some of you maybe have not taken the step into serving yet, and I want to invite you to consider that because in order for us to go to 2 services and create more opportunities and more space for people to be able to experience Jesus, things are about to ramp up. Man, when we get into the fall season, we always see a massive ramp up in attendance. We need you to help us create those spaces. heritagechurch.cc, you can get all the details, all the information, just click on the Serve tab. We would love for you to consider that, okay? We're going to keep saying that over the next couple of weeks, giving you some specific opportunities to do that, but we need you, we want you, we really, really need you to lean in and help us with that. Well, hey, as we've talked about, over the last several weeks throughout the summer, we've been in a series called Summer Soundtrack. We've been walking through the book of Psalms. Every single week, we've taken a different psalm, and we've really been able to dig into it and hear what it has to offer us as we sort of move throughout our week and move throughout our summer. Today, I'm so excited to walk us through, man, one of my favorite Psalms. It's one that I've been reading my entire life, and I always kind of go back to. I find myself going to, especially at certain seasons of my life, and it's Psalm 46. And if it's okay, we're going to put it on the screen. I'd like to just read it to you, and then we're going to just talk about it a little bit, okay? This is what it says. A lot of this might be familiar for you. Psalm 46, start with the verse 1. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and the mountains quake with their surging. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at break of day. Nations are in uproar, kingdoms fall. He lifts his voice and the earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come and see what the Lord has done, the desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shield with fire. He says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress." You know what that makes me think about? It makes me think about the grandeur, the greatness, and the goodness of God. And whenever I read those words, here's the first question that I have for you as we sort of unfold this and unpack this. How are you doing? When was the last time someone just asked you those words, that question? How are you doing, right? We've said this before, right? But we have this really common, I don't know if it's just an American thing, but we usually say fine, right? Or I'm doing good, or I'm doing well, because a lot of times we're hesitant to really answer that honestly. But when you look over the last, few years of what we've been walking through, it's been some crazy stuff. Like we just came out of a global pandemic, like just not very long ago at all, right? We're in the midst of one of the most divisive and complicated election seasons in history. The stock market is kind of a rodeo right now. We're seeing wars, and we hear rumors of wars and acts of terror played out on the global stage every single day. In recent weeks, actually, we've seen massive technological breakdowns, which have brought entire industries to their knees. We've seen rising tension on college campuses. We've had inflation and financial uncertainty and instability. We've had layoffs and unemployment. Some of that has affected some of you directly. You weren't expecting it, but you lost your job and you had to figure out how to start over. And just a few weeks ago, we saw on live TV an assassination attempt on a former president, current presidential candidate, almost take place. And a man did lose his life that day, all on television. We're living in unprecedented times. And that word unprecedented, I feel like, sort of came on the radar, right, during the pandemic. Scary times, and sometimes we might ask ourselves, what is coming next? And this is not even taking into consideration the things that you might be walking through that are not on the global stage. The things that you're carrying, the trials that you're walking through that maybe no one knows about, the burdens that I'm carrying, the burdens that you're carrying. In light of this reality, I want us to just lean into this passage. Psalm 46 is sort of a balm for our hearts and a sense of peace for what might be anxious minds. Again, how are you doing? In light of all the things going on, how are you doing? It can feel oftentimes when we list off a bunch of things like that are happening all around us, we can be afraid of what tomorrow might bring, but it can feel a little bit like the world's unraveling around us. And when things are uncertain and unstable, what we need most is to be reminded of God. We need to turn our eyes toward him. And that's what this psalm does. Like many of the psalms that we've studied over the last several weeks, this psalm is very much in poetic form, okay? It's really a song. The lyrics are actually beautiful, and it would have been sung whenever it was written. But it's a song in 3 different stanzas, and we're going to take just a short glance at each of those 3 different stanzas. And some of your Bibles, as you read this passage, as you open it, you see a word in the middle of each of those stanzas that says the word Selah, right? Selah. And we see that actually all throughout the Psalms. And there's actually a lot of study and a little bit of debate on what Selah actually means. But Selah actually, most scholars would say it means it's a reprieve or a pause or a moment where we should dive in and reflect. Maybe rest after we've read a little bit and let it marinate in our hearts a little bit. I don't know about you, but I need some Selah in my life. I tend to go fast. I tend to have a lot going on, and I tend to work hard, and I tend to move from one thing to the next, and I don't always take a lot of time to rest and Selah. But whenever things are heavy and busy and difficult and challenging, things that we've been carrying lately, what we all need really is to rest. And so we're actually going to practice that just briefly a little bit today as we go through this text and through this psalm. The psalm, as I said, 3 different stanzas, is really separated into 3 different parts. And I'm going to tell you what all 3 of them are. So you can just check out for the next half hour or so, and then you can come back at the end and we'll review it all. But the 3 parts that we're going to look at are the protection of God, the presence of God, and the promises of God. We're going to take just a little glance at each of those. So let's start at the top. The protection of God. The first 4 verses of Psalm 46 make up this first section of this song. They remind us and paint a beautiful picture of the protection of God. And if we look back at the very beginning in verse 1, the very first word, God. It all starts with God. The beginning, the end, the Alpha, Omega, all-seeing, all-knowing, full of grace, full of mercy. He's omnipresent, right? He's everywhere. And because God is omnipresent, that means he's also inescapable. And for some of us, that can be comforting, and for some of us, that can be terrifying, right? Because God is everywhere, and he's always with you. But let's just pause for a moment. Let's Selah for a moment, if we can. And let's think about this. Man, God, place all of your cares and all of your frustrations and your worries in one category. And then place God in the other category. What are my cares, worries, and concerns compared to the God who is and always has been? God who has been called upon by kings and queens and princes and princesses for all time. God who has been called upon by the highest and the most lowly. The biggest problems ever faced by the grandest and most important and famous figures, and the most unseen and unknown and uncared for of figures. Consider every person who has assumed that he or she or me, that I could do it on my own, and then even tried, and then God looking down at me, seeing me try and fail and fall flat on my face, right? We've all done this. Facing the destiny that awaits me whenever I try to do it on my own. And what's his response? In all of his greatness and all of his grandeur, I love him. I still love him. He sent his son for me. And he would have sent his son if only you. He would have still have sent his son to die. And the second word's important too, right? It starts with God, and then we have the second word, is. God is. When seeking the calm in our storm, these 2 words are really a good place to start, aren't they? Rather than to lean into all of the maybes of what can solve our problems or calm our fears, we can lean into the one who truly is and who truly can. God, the maker of heaven and earth, the one who flung the universe into existence by the power of his word. The Almighty One, the Eternal One, omniscient, omnipresent. That means he knows all, he sees all, he's all powerful, the one who has no equal, no rival, no peer, just like we sang about just a moment ago. The one who is holy, 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 perfect in righteousness, perfect in justice and faithfulness and mercy and grace, the one abounding, right, overflowing in steadfast love for you, the judge of all the earth. Before we even consider all the different parts of the passage, just pause, just Selah, in that God is, he always has been, and he always will be. But let's continue. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. When you look around yourself in the midst of trouble, do you feel God's presence, right? Do you sense that he's with you and that he's near you? Because he is. Consider what Ezekiel 37 says about this. 37 verse 27 says, my dwelling place, this is God speaking, my dwelling place shall be with them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. He's always with us. He never abandons us. Look back at Psalm 9. It says this in verse 9, the Lord is a stronghold for the oppressed. He's a stronghold in times of trouble. God has always been and always will be victorious. I love what John 16 says in the New Testament. 16 verse 33 says this, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. Because in this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. This is Jesus speaking to us. It's interesting, we're going to get in just a few moments to the third section of this passage in Psalm 46, but that is a promise as well. In this world you will have trouble. And if you're anything like me, you've already seen that promise begin to unfold. You've had some trouble. You can look back at the course of your life and you can see some moments that were really hard, that were really difficult. In this world, you will have trouble, but sometimes we have to preach to our troubles and our hardship. We have to tell our problems who our God is. I love this guy named John Piper. He's a philosopher, preacher, pastor, theologian. He says this, God is never forced into a situation where he must do something in which he cannot rejoice. God's never forced into a situation where he must do something in which he cannot rejoice. And when we say that, it doesn't mean that God finds joy in our hardship, right? If God is with us, if he's omnipotent, if he's omnipresent, if he's omniscient, if he's always with us and all-knowing and always around us and all-powerful, and he's near us, it doesn't mean that whenever he sees us in our difficulty or in our challenge that he finds joy in that. That's not what we're saying when we say that he's rejoicing. What he's rejoicing is he's sitting with us in our pain, but all the while as he sees us in the pain, as he walks with us in the pain, as he carries us through the pain, right, as we follow him through the pain, all the while he is completely and wholly confident of what the end will look like. Because God is all-powerful. He is victorious. It's not suggesting that God's happy when we're in our pain, but rather he's confident about his power. And we want a God who is confident in his power. If he wasn't confident in his power, he would not be God. But he is God. And so wherever you find yourself right now, whatever you're facing, whatever you're carrying, I want you to know this, just to Selah just for a moment. Whatever it is that's on your mind when you think about hardship, whatever woke you up in the morning a couple of days ago and you couldn't sleep any longer because the anxiety was overwhelming, whatever you pleaded with God about last week or the week before, you asked God, please help me in this situation. Just know God is with you and he's all powerful and he's for you. And because God protects us like he does, verse 2 says, therefore we will not fear. Even if the world's fallen apart, we will not fear. Let's look at verses 2 and 3. Let's read these. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, and the mountains quake with their surging. We will not fear, even though the earth gives way. So like major earthquakes, like you've never heard about. The earth is giving way, right? It's crumbling under your feet, and we will not fear. We will not fear, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea. And so the immovable mountains are being moved, okay? They're crumbling. They're falling into this angry and threatening sea. And the sea in the Bible actually was often just a symbol of judgment, actually. So judgment is coming on the earth. The mountains are crumbling into the sea. Earth is giving way. We will not fear. Think about this for a moment. What if all of our phones kind of dinged right at the same time right now? And you got a notification from CNN or Fox News or MSNBC or Newsmax. I'm trying to cover all the bases here, guys. Did I leave anybody out? Probably so. Consider if we got like a headline news notification and it said that the eastern coast of the United States just crumbled into the sea. That would be pretty wild, wouldn't it? People would lose their minds. Because if that were to happen, it just wouldn't be happenstance. We wouldn't just wake up in the morning and the earth begins to fall into the sea. It would have happened because of an earthquake or some type of natural disaster, the likes of which we've never even seen before or considered. The world would be in upheaval. If we still had TVs and internet, which we probably wouldn't at that point, we would be glued to them. The election wouldn't matter anymore. School starting in a few days later this week wouldn't even be a thought on our minds. You wouldn't be going over your Mariano's grocery list thinking about making sure you get turkey to make sandwiches for the kids when they go to school later this week. You wouldn't be thinking about paying your bills. You wouldn't be thinking about getting an oil change. You wouldn't be thinking about catching up on the next season of whatever show it is you want to watch. And we would be thinking about the next 15 minutes. But how does God respond to that? And the portion of this scripture that we just read starts with the word therefore. And what do we do when we see the word therefore? We need to see what the word therefore is there for. So let's go back to verse 1, right where we started. This is where it starts. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. And what does he say to us whenever we read the words? The mountains crumbling into the sea. He says, do not fear. That's how God feels about mountains crumbling into the sea. And so if he feels that way about mountains crumbling into the sea, how concerned is he with your heart? How does he feel about your problems? We shouldn't look at God's perspective as one that's nonchalant about disasters. That's not the case here. Rather, he knows those mountains. He knows that sea. He created it. He commands it. But he didn't die for the mountains and the sea. He cares more about you and me than he does about the earth. You see, our stability and our security in life are not determined by the size of our problems or the troubles of our uncertainties. Our security and stability are determined by the power of God, who's our protector. So again, when you think about life right now, where do you feel like the earth's giving way under your feet? Hand those problems to God. The second section we see, starting in verse 4, and verse 4, 5, and 6 shifts to his presence, right? So we first look at his protection. He is God, our protector, and then we shift to his presence. He shifts from talking about mountains in verses 2 and 3 and starts talking about rivers in verse 4. Verse 4 says this, there is a river whose stream makes glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. Now, what city are we talking about here? We're talking about the city of God, which is Jerusalem. But if you know about Jerusalem, you know that there's not a river in Jerusalem, right? There's some streams and there's some water, but water was actually a really, really difficult problem, a big problem for Jerusalem. And water is very important. We also need to consider that this was written in a time when it wasn't uncommon for cities to just be completely destroyed, completely desolated. And the safest of cities were usually those that had a river. And why are rivers important? Rivers provide water, right? It's needed for life. Rivers provide food and transportation. Rivers can be used to nourish vegetation. And for that matter, rivers just make everything lush and beautiful. But the city of God, which is described in this passage, did not have a river. It had a little stream, but water was a huge problem in the city of Jerusalem. This wasn't really a descriptor of Jerusalem. Jerusalem was at risk. So let's ask the question, if Jerusalem was not necessarily that secure, because it didn't have a river, and it wasn't all that lush and beautiful, then why was she so glad, as it says in verse 4? Well, verse 4 tells us that she was glad because she was the holy habitation of the Most High God. She was glad because God was there. Verse 5 says this, God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at break of day. Her security and her beauty came from the presence of God. God is in the midst of her presence. Let's continue into verse 6. Nations are in uproar. Kingdoms fall. He, God, lifts his voice, and the earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. You see, what's important to remember about God is that he's all-powerful, but also completely present. And what is power without presence? Right? You can have something that is powerful, but when you're in the presence of it, it's a whole different ballgame. When I was in high school, I had the opportunity to sing with a group, and we sang all over the place. And we actually had the opportunity to sing for several dignitaries, several presidents. We sang for President Clinton, and we sang for President George W. Bush, and we got to meet these guys, and we sang for a bunch of different governors. We got to meet John Glenn at one point. It was really cool. And now that I'm an adult and I look back on that, I'm like, man, that was awesome. Like, I was a kid, I didn't really care. We sang at a Braves-Cardinals game, got to sing right there on the field. It was pretty awesome, pretty amazing. We got to sing right down the street at a Chicago Bulls-Cleveland Cavaliers game at a little arena in the city called United Center. And man, when we were doing that, I remember just the feeling of preparing for this and knowing that, man, we're about to sing for a president, right? We're about to sing at a place like United Center, a place that we'd seen on TV. At that time, the Braves played in Turner Field, and I remember thinking, like, we're going to be on that field, right? A field that I would see on TV. And it seemed like those places and those people had a tremendous amount of power, and I would try to sort of wrap my mind around the significance and the weight and the gravity of what that moment was going to be like. But every single time, whenever we would be near a president, whenever we would be in an arena or be on a field or be in an environment with someone or something like that, the presence really gave it a different level of prominence, right? Because you can have power, you can have something that's significant in power and seems big and seems like almost indescribable, but when you're in the presence of that thing, it's a whole different deal. You see, there's a difference between knowing the power of something and standing in the presence of that power. Right, there's a difference between knowing the power and the gravity and the significance of something and then standing in the presence of that power. Knowing it causes us to respect it, of course, but feeling it causes us to respond. Let's pause for a moment here and Selah, right? What does this mean about your relationship with God? Some of you, or all of us, right? We kind of know about the power of God. As a matter of fact, all around the world, there's people who know of the power of God. The enemy, Satan himself, I guarantee you, knows of the power of God. People who subscribe to all types of world religions or no religion at all know and recognize the power of God. People who don't call themselves Christians believe oftentimes in God. But to simply respect the power of God does not put you in right standing with God. It's only by a sincere faith in Jesus Christ, recognizing that he gave his life for us. He did what he didn't have to do, but willingly did it because he loves us. And because there was no other way for us to experience life eternal than for our sin to be punished and crucified. And then he did what he said he would do and what only he could do. And 3 days later, he resurrected from the dead. And he invites us to participate in friendship and life abundant and life eternal with him. I don't want to skip over the opportunity to just fight for complete and utter clarity here. Some of us have respected the power of God our entire lives, but we have not once experienced the presence of God. We've looked at it from afar, and we've known that it is there if we ever need it. We've known that if life gets difficult enough or life presents enough problems, we can call on God. That's sort of how we compartmentalize our faith oftentimes. I've done it, I've been there. But we've not experienced the goodness and the presence of God. Think about that for a moment. The third section of Psalm 46 takes us to promises. So we look at the protection of God, right? We look at the presence of God, and now we look at the promises of God. Let's read this together. Verse 8, it says this, "Come and see what the Lord has done, the desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire." And he says in verse 10, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations, and I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress." I love verse 10. Man, it says, "Be still and know that I am God." There's probably no more popular verse to put on a coffee cup than "Be still and know that I am God." If we're not careful, we could accidentally look at a verse like that and see it kind of as a wimpy verse. Be still and know that I am God. It's not a quiet and docile statement. This is one of the most powerful words in all of Scripture. Be still and know that I am God. Because today, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, whenever the storm is coming that is coming, right? In this world, you will face trials of many kinds, right? In this world, you will have trouble just like we read about. The storm's coming. Difficulties are coming. What does God say to those difficulties? He says, "Be still and know that I am God." Several years ago, my wife and I took our two oldest kids. We didn't have our youngest child at the time, but we took Maddie and Jude to Disney World, the most magical and wonderful place on earth, right? And we were starting our day there in the Magic Kingdom. We always start our Disney trips with the Magic Kingdom because it just feels like, man, it feels like true Disney. And I remember we spent our morning sort of walking around going to some of the different rides and experiences. It was super fun. We sort of checked all the boxes of all the really important rides. And I remember as we were walking from one ride to the next, I remember they came over the loudspeaker and they said, "Welcome to the Magic Kingdom. Today is the busiest day of the week. There are 88,000 guests in the Magic Kingdom." And I remember thinking, golly, 88, that's unbelievable. So many people, that's crazy. And it felt like it too, to be honest with you. It felt like there were 88. A little bit later, I think after lunch, we were kind of in that afternoon slump. Our kids were tired and we were starting to drag a little bit. And what do you do in that moment? You don't go to the good rides at that moment. You just sort of go to one of the filler rides, and we're in line for this, for the Winnie the Pooh ride, you know? And nothing wrong with Winnie. I don't want to experience a life without Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, and you know, they're very important figures, but it wasn't necessarily like the top 10 ride or experience for us that day. But we're just there, man, and we're it's still like a super long line because 88,000 people, you know? We're waiting in line, and I think Ellen and I just sort of made conversation with the couple behind us, because what else are we going to do? We're just standing there waiting to see Tigger. And we're deep in conversation. Right before we make dinner plans with this couple that we've just met, we look around and kind of make eye contact. And, "You see Jude anywhere?" And our boy just kind of went missing just for a moment, and sort of look at each other and we sort of panic. And this couple that's right behind us, like, we just give our daughter to them, right? And we're like, "Can you just take care of her? I don't, maybe for the rest of her life, I don't know. But we've got to find the missing child." And we sort of start looking, and you kind of look close to you, right? 'Cause there's so many people, and then you kind of look a little farther out, and you're just looking around, you're trying to find them. I remember running up to a Disney employee, they call them cast members, right? And I remember going up to the cast member, and I remember saying, my son Jude is missing, and I can't find him. And the cast member was just way too calm for this, right? It's almost like they're trained for situations like this. And I remember her even telling me, hey, this happens a lot. It's okay, we're gonna find him. And I'm like, it's my son though, right? So I don't know, maybe it's happened before, but it hasn't happened to me. So I need you to freak out with me a little bit, right? They weren't freaking out enough. And I was like, we've got to find him. I need you to do whatever. Here's what I wanted. I wanted the cast member to, shut down the park, right? Because 88,000 guests at Disney, and all I care about is the one, right? I want them to shut the park down. They did not do that. We continue to look. I want Mickey Mouse looking for my son at this point, right? We look around, and man, it was 3 minutes, but I think it felt like 3 hours. And I see over sort of to the side, maybe 30, 40 feet away, I see this family. My little boy is kind of right in the middle of them. And I run up there to them, and I say, oh, thank you so much. I'm so great. Thank you for sort of taking care of them. And I learned very quickly that they don't speak English, right? Which is fine, because Jude didn't speak English either. He was very young. And we get him back, right? And he's with us, and everything's right. He's still with us. We still have him. We got him. We've tried to really keep an eye on him ever since then. And before that happened, man, there's no question that if you'd asked me, right, I would have said, man, I'm a protector of my son, right? Before we went to the park that day, when we got up in the hotel room, if you'd asked me, I would have said, man, I would never let anything happen to my boy. I would do anything. I would move heaven and earth, right? If it meant shutting down the entire Disney corporation, I would do that in order to have my son. And some of you'd be like, that seems a little extravagant. But to get my boy back, you better believe I would do that, right? I would do anything. Before we went to I would have said I would do anything to protect him, right? But what is my protection without my presence? See, in that moment where I didn't see him, man, I would do anything in that moment. I would cash in any chips. I would give away anything. I would give away my entire leash in order to have him safe and have him be okay. I would protect him, but I was not able to protect him in that moment because he did not have my presence and he was not in my presence. And then a few minutes later, right when I found him and he was here and he was close and I had him and I embraced him and my wife and we're okay, right? We're together as a family again, right? Everything feels right in the world. What if I bent down on my knee and I just say, hey buddy, listen, I'm never gonna let that happen again. I could say that. But is that honest? Because if we're being really honest, I can't guarantee that he's never gonna find himself in trouble again. I can't guarantee that he's not gonna go missing again. I'm gonna do everything I can in my protection and in my power to prevent it from happening. But he's not with me all the time. He's not always in my presence all the time. As much as I want to protect him, he's not always in my presence. And so I cannot make that promise. But listen, friends, there is a God who can. There is a God who will protect you at your darkest and heaviest of moments. When he sees mountains crumble into the sea, he says, do not fear. When he sees calamities, when he sees wars take place, he says, I am your protector. Not only is he a God who is our protector, who is full of power, but he is a God with whom we have presence. He is a God who is close and who is with us and who will never leave us. Matter of fact, he makes that promise, right? See, God gives us the unending promise of his unfettered protection because of his unwavering presence. God gives you and gives me the unending promise of his unfettered protection because of his unwavering presence. He's always with you. He's all powerful, and he can protect you wherever you find yourself. Whatever you're dealing with, he's with you. Be still and know that I am God. Just a moment, we're going to sing one more song together. Kind of doing like a throwback day today. This one's Blessed Assurance. Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. Whatever you're carrying right now as we sing this song, if you know it, man, I'd love for you to sing with us. If this one's new for you, just check out these words, but just recognize in the moment. It's kind of like we said a little while ago. You might even need to find yourself preaching to yourself or preaching to your problems. That there's a God who knows you, who is all powerful, who loves you, he's with you. And if God is with us, then we shall not fear. If God is for us, then who could be against us? God gives us, he gives you and me, the unending promise of his unfettered protection because of his unwavering presence. Let's preach that to our problems this morning. Will you stand with us?
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of born of his Spirit, washed in his blood. This is my story. This is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story. This is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. Perfect submission, perfect delight, visions of rapture now burst on my side, angels descending, bring from echoes of mercy, whispers of love. This is my story. This is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. Praising my Savior, oh, happy and blessed, watching and waiting, looking up, filled with His goodness, lost in His love. 'Cause this is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. Yes, this is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day This is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. 'Cause this is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long.
We have this blessed assurance, don't we, in Jesus. He's with us, God's with us, and He will never forsake us. So whatever you're walking through, whatever you're carrying this week, just know that, remember that, claim that, believe that. And He's our protector. We have His presence, and we have His promises. We also have His people. And so this morning, if you find yourself walking through a difficult trial, a valley, something that you can't handle on your own, something that you're trying to navigate, and you just need some prayer, I'm going to be down here. We'll have a couple of the people down here. We'd love to pray for you this morning. If that's something you'd like, just come on down, and we'd love to visit with you and pray for you today. Man, I love you so much. So honored to have you here today. I hope you're planning to just really dig in as we head into the fall season. And we know school is starting this week for a lot of you, and over the next couple of weeks for almost everyone. That's a really big kind of shift of gears as we get ready for that big change. An awesome thing, maybe for some of you, a very welcome change, right? We hope that as you sort of adjust into your fall schedule over the next several weeks, we hope that making your church a priority is a big deal for you. We hope that you're here. We hope you dig in. We hope you lean into all the different opportunities that we have for you to find and follow Jesus here and to serve the community. We also hope that you'll invite your friends, right? As you see people in the car line you haven't seen in several months, if you see your neighbors at the mailbox, I mean, just invite them to come to church with you. We have some really awesome stuff coming up this fall that you're going to want to be a part of. Great opportunities for you and your neighbors and your friends to be a part of all the good things that are happening. Hey, as we're dismissed, two things I want you to know about. One, our Bloom pop-up shop is still happening in the Welcome Lounge. As you go out the doors, just take a right. Everything's $5 in there. Everything is $5. We have some more stuff. We opened it one more week for you to be a part of. You can also register for Bloom in there. We'd love for you to do that. And then, of course, we're continuing our party on the patio today. We're bringing back cold brew coffee. So if you like that, we hope that you'll be a part of that. Also, donut holes, right? Cold brew coffee and donut holes. Something for everybody. We love you. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you back here real soon.
go there.
I'm about to have a good day, no matter what they say. Sun is shining down on me, birds are singing praise. I'm about to have a good day, in every single way. God who made the universe knows me by my name, so it's a good day. There's so much on your mind, and I see it in your eyes. Some days you're gonna wanna hide your brave, just keep going. There's a rhythm inside your head, there's a light down deep in there. Let it all flow through your hands and make it up as you go. Come around, sing it loud, let the sun shine on your face. Don't have to wake up, be free, you're alive when you're dreaming. Someday you're gonna take a chance, step out and start to dance. If it don't go as you plan, just keep your feet moving. Let the spirit fill your sails, don't be afraid to fail. Draw from the well and keep your cup overflowing. Keep your cup overflowing. Yeah. Come around, sing it loud, let the sun shine on your face. Don't have to wake up, be free, you're alive when you're dreaming. When you close your eyes at night and drift off to sleep, I pray that you remember there's a song that only you can sing. When the world tries to break your heart, the light will always cast away the dark. Oh, the light will always cast away the dark.
Thank you.
say nothing. Don't let the negativity control me. I'm making my attitude a choice now. Today I choose joy.
You go make it to heaven, but I'm walking through hell. But I still want you. I've been praying these same old prayers. Going through the motions, ain't going anywhere. But I still love you. But I still love you. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up on you now. I might be in a valley, but I know you lead me out. I've seen too much. I've seen too many giants hit the ground. I come undone, I'm giving up. God, let your kingdom come. 'Cause I still want you. All the certainty that I've had couldn't hold me up when the gravity fell. Couldn't handle the pain when the pain got real. But the mystery of love holds me still. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up on you now. I might be in a valley, but I know you lead me out. I've seen too much. I've seen too many giants hit the ground. I come undone, I'm giving up. God, let your kingdom come. 'Cause I still want you. I still love you. I feel lights breaking through the shadow of my doubt. You're asking me to follow, not to figure you all out. I feel your light is breaking through the shadow of my doubt. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up on you now. I might be in a valley, but I know you lead me out. I've seen too much. I've seen too many giants hit the ground. I come undone, I'm giving up. God, let your kingdom come. I come undone, I'm giving up. God, let your kingdom come. 'Cause I still want you. I still love you. When life feels mundane, every day looks the same. The world is lost its shimmer and its shine. When colors turn to gray, abundance turns to just okay. When you forget a miracle of light, be a witness to wonder. Let it pull you right under the surface of what your eyes
I
can
feel
see.
so good now that you told me that. I feel like, hey,
Into a
there's
new
not a good texture.
reality
I texted you about Christian
where it's wilder and it's wider. Still you're grounded. child. See the world with sacred sight, and what a gift it is to be alive.
I was down, but now I'm up. Yeah, this all God, this ain't no luck. Yeah, I used to be stuck in that mud. Whoa. Yeah, I was down, but now I'm up, 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 up. I was down, but now I'm up. Yeah, this all God, this ain't no luck. Yeah, I used to be stuck in that mud. Yeah, yeah, I was down, but now I'm like my name Lazarus. No Satan gon' be mad at this. I had to ask my dad if it's okay to swing my bat at this. He said, boy, if I picture this out of the park, moving so quick it's like they stuck in park. They see the numbers, but I see the heart. 10,000 hours you spit in the dark, putting in good work, even though you didn't even know that it would work. Talking about a man who grew up in woodwork, do it for the love of it, that's the way it should work. Yeah, yeah. I know some people gon' look at me crazy, and I'm like, for what? Man, I was stuck, I was down, but now I'm up. Yeah, this all God, this ain't no love. Yeah, I used to be stuck in that mud. Yeah, yeah, I was down, but now I'm up, 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 up. I was down, but now I'm
down, now I'm up like a seesaw. When I'm on a beat like an old man's lawn, better keep off. From the ground to the treetops, got clouds on my feet like Jack in the Beanstalk. Jumped off quick, went straight in a free fall. Cowboy hat and a mic singing yeehaw. Landed on my feet like a feline, put him back in the seat like a recline. Ay, what you mean I'm not worthy? Did it with a purpose, didn't need a permit. Digging from the bottom and I brought it to the surface. Mind your business now, who I worship. Who the little guy making big, big, big moves. Tick tock, turn it to a tick, 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 boom. Yeah, I talk a lot of stuff, probably thought it was a bluff, till I went and turned it where?
I was down, but now I'm up. Let's go. Yeah, this all God, this ain't no love. Yeah, I used to be stuck in that mud. Yeah, yeah, I was down, but now I'm up, 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 up. I was down, but now I'm up. I've been sick and tired, being sick and tired, searching far and wide for something that feels real. I need something that feels real. And I don't wanna lose my soul, chasing after things that don't lead me straight to you. And I'm lost in a feeling that I ain't from this world. But going back to Eden ain't gonna be easy, but it leads me straight to you. Now I'm running like the prodigal. I don't need the money, I don't want the fame, I don't want what I can't take with me in the grave. Oh, and I don't wanna lose my soul, chasing after things that don't lead me straight to you. And I'm lost in a feeling that I ain't from this world. But going back to Eden ain't gonna be easy, but it leads me straight to you. Now I'm running like the prodigal. I don't wanna lose my soul, chasing after things that don't lead me straight to you. I don't wanna lose my gaze when I meet you face to face. Well done, well, come on. like the prodigal. Oh, I'm lost in a feeling that I ain't from this world. And going back to Eden ain't gonna be easy, but it leads me straight to you. Now I'm running away like a prodigal. Prodigal. I've seen the northern lights, the British countryside, every single southern college town. Sat with important men and felt like one of them. Stood at Cyprus in between the clouds. I thought I'd seen all there is to see. Spent all this time chasing my dreams, and none of them came true till you were here with me. It's a wonderful world filled with fabulous things. I traded all away to have you here with me. It's a wonderful world. It's a wonderful world. Taking medicine, I bought an ottoman. I got a bigger house with bigger trees. I'm getting better at not blaming mom and dad. I'm trying to figure out what it all means. I thought that I'd done all the right things. I spent all this time building a dream, but none of it came true till you were here with me. It's a wonderful world filled with fabulous things. I traded all away to have you here with me. It's a wonderful world.